Hey y'all, this is Saro Lynch-Thomason. If you like folk songs, radical history, or folklore, then I recommend you go ahead and hit that subscribe button below. Welcome to another episode of Songs That Speak. This episode is sponsored in part by a grant from the Country Dance and Song Society, or CDSS. CDSS supports people in building and sustaining vibrant communities through participatory dance, music, and song. You can find out more at cdss.org. In 1931, life in the coal fields of Harlan County, Kentucky was desperate and dangerous. After years of overproduction of coal, competition from European fuel sources like oil, rising freight costs, and the ongoing effects of the Depression, the coal industry was in crisis. In some places, miners were lucky to work 3 days a week. Families were desperate for food. Mobs of men resorted to looting local grocery stores to feed their families. The final straw came when Harlan County mine operators reduced wages by another 10%. The miners, on the verge of starvation, went out on strike, thus beginning a nearly decade-long conflict that earned the county the nickname Bloody Harlan. Florence Reese and her husband Sam were among the strikers. Sam worked with the National Miners Union, or NMU, a communist union that had recently come to Harlan after the United Mine Workers of America deserted the strikers. Florence and Sam lived with their 7 children on Straight Creek, and Sam's involvement with the NMU caused trouble for the family. Many times, the deputies of local anti-union sheriff J.H. Blair came into and ransacked Florence's home, looking for incriminating evidence related to Sam's union activities. One of these nights, after the deputies had left, Florence was livid. She tore a kitchen calendar off the wall, flipped it over, and wrote a short and simple song called "Which Side Are You On?" Soon afterwards, her 2 little girls sang it at the Union Hall, introducing the song to the striking miners of Harlan. In the decades to come, Which Side would be sung in movements across the world and be covered by musicians including Natalie Merchant, Rebel Diaz, Talib Kweli, Billy Bragg, Panopticon, the Dropkick Murphys, Ani DeFranco, and many more. Its message even appears in protest graffiti as far away as Calcutta, India. Today we're exploring the origins of this song and asking, why has it become so successful as an international organizing anthem? Welcome to your rad music moment. Here's Reese's song. As always, if you want to learn to sing this song yourself, you can check out my companion video, tagged here and linked in the notes below. Come all you poor workers, good news do you all tell of how the good old Union has come in here to dwell. Which side are you on? Which side are you on? You go to Harlan County, there is no neutral there. You'll either be a Union man or a thug for J.H. Blair. Which side are you on? Which side are you on? They say they have to guard us to educate their child. Their children live in luxury, our children almost wild. Which side are you on? Which side are you on? My daddy was a miner, he's now in the air and sun. He'll be with your fellow workers till every battle's won. Which side are you on? 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 Welcome back. Which Side's catchy, simple tune is an old one. It probably goes back to at least the early 1800s. It was used in a British Isles ballad called Jacquemin Row, also called Jackie Fraser or Lay the Lily Low, which eventually made its way to Appalachia. But Florence probably learned the tune as a child from a Baptist hymn called I'm Gonna Land on That Shore. She recalled the song's chorus as, I'm gonna land on that shore, I'm gonna land on that shore, I'm gonna land on that shore and be safe forevermore. According to some accounts, she started writing the song when she was 12 and her father was on strike in Tennessee, and she finished it 20 years later when her husband was on strike in Kentucky. Florence's lyrics illustrate the perspective of someone who has one foot in the domestic sphere as a wife and mother, and another foot in the public sphere as a participant in the coal economy. And she shows how closely the two spheres are related, how wealth inequality affects child rearing. Their children live in luxury, our children almost wild. And how union busters affect a family's ability to survive. My daddy was a miner, he's now in the air and sun. Being in the air and sun means to be blacklisted, to be out of the mines and into the sunlight. Women like Reese, living in early 20th century coal camps, were vulnerable on several levels. They performed the ongoing, unpaid labor of keeping their families fed, heating their homes, and rearing and clothing their children, all on a starvation budget. When possible, they helped bring more money home by taking the limited kinds of low-paying jobs available to them, doing laundry, running boarding houses, working as domestic servants, and performing sex work. If their husbands or sons died or became too injured to work, women could inherit their husbands' debts and have their families removed from company housing. So when coal mining communities decided to strike, women like Reese were fiercely invested because they understood how fragile and vulnerable their situations already were. In Which Side Are You On?, Reese expresses that vulnerability and her rage against the gun thugs and the coal operators that hired them. But that's not who she's singing to. The central conflict of the song is not between workers and bosses, but more intimately, between workers themselves. This war in Bloody Harlan was part of a much larger series of coal wars that took place across Appalachia in the late 19th and early 20th centuries. And in these conflicts, both sides engaged in guerrilla warfare and terrorism, basically in the backyards of local communities. The refrain of Which Side Are You On? Is that incessant demand to coal miners and their families. Which side will you choose? Because you have to choose. You can't escape the war. As Reese once said, in Harlan County, there wasn't no neutral. If you wasn't a gun thug, you was a Union man. You had to be. The strikes in Harlan were broken in March of 1932. Strikers, weary after years of harassment and arrests and murders by company thugs as well as armed deputies and National Guardsmen, gave up their efforts. Organizers with the National Miners Union left the region. The coal wars of Harlan County were over for the moment, but Florence Reese's song started to spread. We don't know all the ways that this song traveled out of the coal fields. One thing we do know is that in 1940, coal miner and union activist Tillman Cadle taught it to folk musician Pete Seeger. Pete's various bands, like the Almanac Singers and later the Weavers, sang and recorded the song throughout the 1940s, 50s, and 60s. The song was later introduced to the civil rights movement, probably by multiple people. Staff at the Highlander School, a social justice leadership training school in Tennessee, probably learned the song from Pete Seeger and then passed it on to other civil rights organizers. Later, Greenwich Village singer Lynn Chandler contributed his own versions of the song to the movement, and the Freedom Singers, formed in 1962, made the song even more famous as they toured throughout the 1960s. From there, the song continued to spread. It's been sung across at least 4 continents, inspired countless new versions and spin-offs, and continues to be popular in organizing efforts. Here are a few examples. Don't scab for the bosses, don't listen to their lies. Us poor folks haven't got a chance unless we organize. Come all you freedom lovers and listen while I tell of how the freedom riders came to Jackson to dwell. Duke Power thought they'd win the strike with the miners in misery, but the Union will shove it down Duke's throat with a miners' victory. Come all of you good people, you women and you men, once more our backs are to the wall, we're being attacked again. My daddy was a wharfie and I'm a wharfie son. I'm sticking to the MUA till every battle's won. Come all you good people, the choice is up to you. A world of good for everyone or the profits of a few. Justice for Mike Brown, justice for us all. Justice for Mike Brown, justice for us all. Which side are you on now? Which side are you on? Which side are you on now? Which side are you on? Which side are you on now? Which side are you on? So, what is it about this song? What's made it such a heavy hitter in so many places for so long? I think the answer lies in Which Side's structure and its message. First, the chorus is short and simple. It's just a 4-note pattern moving up and down. Which side are you on? Which side are you on? Second, The verses are short too, with a simple rhyme scheme, making it easy to create new lyrics that suit new movements and situations. Third and finally, there's the distinctive question of the refrain, which side are you on? The question addresses the singer's community, not some distant coal operator or government leader or company CEO. This song is, in essence, an internal conversation between community members. It's a call to action that's relevant to everyone present. Whatever the place, whatever the people, whatever the issue, which side are you on is the question that never changes. At the same time, in some situations, which side are you on can be a divisive and even destructive question. It can encourage an us versus them or a with us or against us kind of mentality, where we don't make room for the complexity of communities and issues, or welcome people with different backgrounds or worldviews. Which Side Are You On was written for a strike, a moment of extreme polarization. Not every political situation is like a strike, but when the time comes to choose sides, this song is a reminder that our individual liberation is bound up with the liberation of others, and that when it comes down to it, we are often, to our surprise, on the same side.